This is your host, Carmen Radford, welcoming you back to another episode of the Calm and Chaos podcast, the space where we discuss everything from motherhood, relationships, and well-being to education, music, and so much more. Okay, here we go. Welcome back to the Calm and Chaos podcast. Today we have Anna, the founder of influential Breathwork and a plethora of other things in her resume. And I'm so excited to welcome you here today. Thanks for being here, Anna.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. So I know you have a lot to share today, but I must say, when I've been sharing with listeners that you might be coming on, all the time I'm talking to people about two things right now: breathing exercises and perimenopause. Where would you like to start?
So I think let's start with perimenopause, and I'll tell you how that affects breath.
Yeah.
So I hit burnout. I'm nearly 48, very, very nearly. I hit burnout really, really hard 4 years ago. I was doing a lot of things in the business space, personal development space, and I've always been ambitious, driven. I'm a high achiever, and suddenly I couldn't. Suddenly I couldn't think properly. Wow. Suddenly I was having panic attacks, which didn't feel like a version of me that I'd ever had before.
Yeah.
And I didn't know why. And I literally took my dog out for a walk one day and I started to feel really strange.
Oh my God.
I felt my heart was racing so hard. It was palpitating so hard. And basically I thought I was having a heart attack.
Right.
And I didn't know that panic attacks could mimic heart attack, cardiac arrest.
Yeah, they're very scary, very stressful.
It took me 3 weeks to be told by the hospital that I hadn't damaged my heart and that it was in fact just stress. Now, by this point, I'm a dribbling mess. I can't get out of bed. I can't function in my business. I had to let parts of the business go.
What a shock.
And there were lots of things that were going on at the time. My parents, they were getting older. They needed looking after. I had teenage children who had been through COVID, and the knock-on effects of that, has really affected mental health for that generation. Things in my business, suddenly pressures that things I would normally be able to deal with, I suddenly couldn't. Right. Now, even then at that point, when I realized I'd hit burnout and I was completely depleted, what I didn't know was that it was part of perimenopause, that this is a common experience for women. Right. And I always still kind of thought, but hold on, I'm a high achiever. I can just push my way through. But you can't. And one of the things that I found 4 years ago, which literally saved my life, was breath work. Because when you're told your whole life has got to change because of stress, what do you do? What does that mean?
Right.
And a few things led me to breath work. One was that I thought conscious connected breathing meant connect spiritually with the universe. I thought that's what it was. And I was feeling I needed some spiritual guidance, I think, even though they weren't terms I was using, because I'd lost trust in myself. I'd lost trust in my confidence, in who I was, my identity.
Right.
But actually what I discovered was that it actually means just about awareness of how you're breathing.
Yeah.
I had the most profound experience through breathwork. Literally felt like I connected with my higher self or my inner wisdom, in my body. I felt like issues, things that happened to me in the past that I thought from a mindset perspective I dealt with. Actually, I felt like I breathed them out. And then because the breathwork had been so powerful, I decided, right, I'm going to train in this. I don't know anything about it, but that was insane. Right. And the first technical things I found out about it made me really cross, because I thought we should know how to do this.
Isn't it odd that, because I know we talked that we both read the book by James Nestor, Breath. He in the book he says you are born able to breathe. You have to breathe, and so you almost take for granted that I should know how to do this. Surely I'm doing this correctly, but actually there are so many different ways to breathe. And there are more correct ways to breathe. And in each activity that you do in the day, being aware of your breath can be really beneficial. So how did you bring breath work into what you were experiencing?
So I was using the deeper release breath works to really channel and release the emotion I was feeling.
Mm.
You know, if you feel like your whole world is collapsing around you, my
Mm-hmm.
business was crumbling because I couldn't function. There was a lot of shame attached to that.
Sure.
Um, the pressures of having to help family members through some difficult physical and
Yeah.
mental things, right?
Yeah.
As
Mhm.
mums, I think we hold on to it. So
Yeah.
I was using it initially to just allow myself to really feel that emotion.
Wow.
But then I was using it as I was learning more about breath. I was using it to really realize and understand that. So you're talking about there's different ways to breathe, and
Hmm.
most of us are breathing wrongly. 85% of us are breathing in a way that every single breath we take tells our brain to create more stress.
Wild.
Wild. So the thing I was then learning was, okay, I know that I've nearly given myself, nearly damaged my heart long term,
Mm.
and I'm a dribbling mess because life is really hard right now.
Yeah.
I have to learn how to regulate my nervous system.
Hmm.
And this is a phrase we're seeing all over our socials. Suddenly it's become like the buzz phrase, but people don't really understand what that means. And what I realized was that I needed to have, not to be like mindful and calm and like the spiritual guru, right? Not that.
Hmm.
But I needed to find a way to have my natural energy,
Hmm.
but also find a place that's more grounded within me.
Yeah.
And the more I learned, the more I was like, I have to share this with people.
Hmm.
Now, my background, I've done so many things, but my more recent background was I trained in subconscious reprogramming, so
Wow.
mindset tools, hypnosis, NLP, neuro linguistic programming.
Hmm.
What I realized was that breathwork could be combined with them to
Hmm.
create an uber powerful modality to something that
Hmm.
really changes lives. And that's what I do now. I teach people, I run an academy to teach people all over the world how to really breathe.
I think it's so interesting that you're saying, this is, it's a newer thing in a way in that we're connecting it to things that have more awareness, like perimenopause and menopause, um, self-regulation. When you talk about self-regulation, I already talk about that with my children because I'm so aware of it. And they now they're only 5 and 7, but when they get worked up, sometimes they are able to say, I'm just gonna take a breath, mom. I'm gonna breathe. And I think, hey, that's so good. I'm trying to build a foundation, but I'm also really honest with them that I'm not always capable of that, even when I try. So putting in the work, I'm very curious to see and hear what you're teaching, because I want that to filter down. If we put in that work now, it will trickle down and have really amazing benefits.
There's so much I want to tell you, Carmen. Like
Yeah.
it's really fascinating. So I'm actually writing down 2 points. So
Okay.
I want to just say something about perimenopause and breathing, and then I want to say about telling your children to take a breath, which I think is amazing. Big
Thank
breath.
you.
That's what I'm writing down. All right. So perimenopause.
Hmm.
The reason so many women hit burnout, chronic stress, or become depressed, or
Yeah.
there is depression,
Yeah.
is because we when we drop our estrogen,
Yeah.
right, our estrogen production actually damages and weakens our airways,
Oh.
right? So that's step one. So if you think about every airway, right from going into your sinuses, into your
Mhm.
lungs, all the bronchioles, all those little twiglet bits in your lungs,
Yeah.
they're weaker because of a reduction of oxygen. Second of all, right, and they're dry. So the estrogen
Mm.
gives us mucus in various parts of our body.
Yep.
They're dried out. So you already know your breathing is difficult because
Hmm.
of that. Second of all, we have a drop in progesterone.
Hmm.
Progesterone is actually a major driver for how we breathe and why we breathe.
Mm.
Okay. So the progesterone in our body is dropping. When we have a change, it changes our pH balance in our blood. And it's that that tells our brain we need to breathe in a particular way.
Wow.
So progesterone and estrogen dropping and declining and then disappearing from our bodies
Mhm.
is a major problem for our breathing.
I
So if
love
you,
that you're breaking this down in
yeah,
biological and
this is
physiological
why.
terms. Wow.
Now, I've been in the breathwork world for 4 years. I've been teaching people this for 2.5 years. I run, a well-established academy of this now. It's taken me 4 years to get to the bottom of why in perimenopause I suddenly hit this crisis.
Okay.
Why? And that's why. So the low level mood is
Mm.
because my breathing changed. The hypervent the palpitations
Yep.
because my breathing changed, which affects your heart rate.
Yep.
This blew my mind as well. So the hot flushes that women have in
Yep.
perimenopause. It can happen in the middle of the night when we're completely asleep, supposedly at rest.
Yeah.
When
Supposedly.
those hormones change, it makes it harder for us to reach rest, digest, repair, as
Mhm.
opposed to fight or flight.
Yeah.
So we're kind of more in fight or flight anyway. So we're not really resting. So
Mhm.
we're not really repairing what needs to be repaired, and we're not
Mhm.
really sleeping. But when we have a hot flush, immediately before you have the hot flush, without even realizing it, your body has had what's known as a micro hyperventilation, right? So for a very short period, without you realizing, you have
Mhm.
breathed too hard, too fast, and blown off too much carbon dioxide, which sends your body into a panic state,
Yep.
which sends your heart into the
No,
equivalent of you have just run away from a bear.
that's
But it's
so
taken, there's
wild.
so little information about women's breathing,
Yep.
so little information about perimenopause that it's taken me 4 years of research, heavy research, to be able to understand this enough to be
Mhm.
able to communicate it really simply.
Right. That, I mean, in the one you would hope that now that you've literally simplified it for us. Do you know what I mean? You have funneled down all this information and made it something tangible that we can actually work on, and this awareness that not to be so scared going into something, because if you have these kind of tools, we're all going to go through it, aren't we?
We
But
are.
you're giving women these
And the
tools
thing is,
because
even if you take HRT, which I do,
mm-hmm.
even if you're taking HRT, there are still massive changes happening in your body,
Yes.
right? So you still might get hot flushes. You still might
Mm-hmm.
not sleep so well because of what you're going through, even though you're on HRT.
Right.
And this is an example of why I feel so cross that we don't know. And I've
Yeah.
just made it, I never would have thought I would be teaching this stuff. I was always about mindset. I was always about achieve, ambition, drive, make it happen.
Right.
But my motto used to be anything is possible. But it is possible. But you've got to understand your body first. You've got to be able
Yes.
to regulate yourself first.
Yes.
So the other thing that I wanted to say is when you were talking about, oh, Mum, I'm taking a big deep breath. Amazing that you're giving that, and I think children are starting to have a bit more awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Very often, so what you demonstrated on video there, Carmen, was that I'm going to take a deep breath. So what you did was you breathed in through your mouth. Great.
Oh, I know it's nose breathing,
But
and we do that.
you take that deep breath through your mouth, right? You're
Yeah.
telling your body to breathe into your chest rather than your belly. When we
Yeah. Yeah.
chest breathe, we're telling our brain produce more cortisol and adrenaline.
Mm-hmm.
So very often in these crucial moments where we need to calm down,
Mm-hmm.
we might temporarily feel calmed down, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we're actually spiking various chemicals in our body that we don't want.
Mm-hmm.
So the really fascinating thing, I'm going to give you like an amazing little tip
Okay.
and a practical way that I used it. So I lost my mother very recently. I'm
So
devastated beyond
sorry.
words. But I decided that I was going to speak at her funeral, come hell or high water. And I said to my husband, during this funeral, at some point, I might lose it. And I really want to get through that speech. Or afterwards, I really,
Yeah.
I just wanted to hold it together for that day. Got through the speech okay, sat back down, and I could feel I was hyperventilating, like that panic, that.
Mm-hmm.
But I told my husband this: instead of telling me to take a breath, what
Mm-hmm.
you need to tell me to do is breathe in and out through my nose, shut my
Mm-hmm.
mouth, in, out, and hold after the exhale for like a couple of seconds.
Mm-hmm.
In through the nose, out through the nose, hold after the exhale. I did
Mm-hmm.
3 rounds of that, and I was right as rain.
It's amazing.
Right,
And that's
in a really charged situation.
Yeah, and well, what a profound example of how well it can work if you know what you're doing. And to be fair, I think if my children were here, they actually say like in through the nose, out through the nose, and it was a poor example. But that when I first read that book called Breath, and now I really want to read your book, which please tell everyone at the
My
end.
book's not about breath yet. I've got 2 books already, but the breath one, I'm writing it now. I'm chomping at
Amazing.
the bit to get it out there.
Amazing. Because when I started reading that book called Breath, it almost stuns you hearing that you're supposed to do so much breathing with your nose. And then I was like, I'll go for a run and try and breathe through my nose the whole time. And it was so uncomfortable that I realized I've conditioned myself so much with mouth breathing that I have to become a lot more aware of it, especially at times, at nighttime when I really want my body to start regulating to get a restful sleep. But let me ask you this, because I feel like I haven't quite hit perimenopause yet, but even just, going through my cycle every month, it's hard to regulate. So are there some little tangible tips that listeners can take who are at this age where they might be starting to experience symptoms? And there's so many
I
symptoms.
think it's broad. I think that the broader thing,
Yeah.
actually the thing that made me the most cross,
Yeah.
was that over the last 20 to 30 years, we as a nation, not just our nation, the Western world,
Mm-hmm.
has serious mental health issues.
Right.
Coupled with that, we have serious increases in things like chronic illness and cancers.
Yeah.
Okay. The thing that has happened in the last 30 years is the amount of time that we are on. If you think about it, if you think about 300 years ago, what the working day looked like for the majority of people, they're out working by the sun. There's no artificial light. They've got fresh air. They're resting when it's dark. They're wintering when it's winter. I'm sure that there were elements of life that were very hard. But what we have now, with every time, whether we answer it or not, every time there's an email, a WhatsApp message, every time we watch YouTube, we watch TV, we get in the car, we put the lights on, the tumble dryer's going, the dishwasher's going. Every single one of those things is a stressor.
Yeah.
We have, and the reason we breathe in the way that is almost unnatural, but we think it's normal, is because our bodies have become so accustomed to chronic levels of stress. We are all chronically stressed.
It's
The
sad.
majority of people, without realizing, are breathing through their mouth into their chest. This is so bad for us.
Wow.
So the best thing you can do is shut your mouth, get some mouth tape, try it in the day. When you're ready, sleep through the night with it. You're basically retraining yourself to have a clear nose. If you feel like, oh, my nose is always blocked, I can't do that, well, there are simple exercises that you can do to clear your nose. It's very easy. And you want to train yourself to really think about breathing. And I think women, particularly, and men who wear belts, women, we have been trained to try and keep it all in.
Yeah.
Worst thing we can do because we can't breathe. So if you think about your diaphragm, it's right underneath your rib cage. It actually looks a little bit like a jellyfish or like a mushroom. Your diaphragm should have the ability to move between 5 and 15 centimeters with each breath you take. The majority of us in the Western world, we're lucky if it moves 1 centimeter. Right? So if it doesn't move, we're not getting as much air into our lungs at all. So our whole system is not getting enough oxygen. And also, I said earlier, we're supposed to release 70% of our toxins through our breath. If your diaphragm is not moving or only moving 1 centimeter, you can see that the amount of pressure on your organs is going to be less. And that is how we're supposed to release the toxins in our organs and around our organs.
That's
We don't
unbelievable, isn't
release
it?
it anywhere else. It doesn't come out through your urine or your sweat. It's supposed to come through your breath.
That's
So
wild, isn't it?
it's wild.
It's
And so
really
the
wild.
best, whether you're in your cycle, whether you're not in your cycle, the most important thing you can do is breathe through your nose,
Hmm.
into your belly, and
Hmm.
practice getting your diaphragm moving.
Hmm.
That is it.
That's amazing. So I shout out to my friend who's a yoga teacher. She's been on here and she was the one who told me to read breath. And I go to her class every week. And in each move, she talks about breath, what you're, bring your consciousness to your breath. How should you be breathing through this move? So what are you offering in your classes for women right now? How can people find you? What to expect when they come to your groups?
So there's two ways that I really work. My main business is that I train people in this. I
Hmm.
train people in
Okay.
three different types of breath in my academy. We train
Hmm.
people in the functional breathing. How do we make sure we're getting people to breathe anatomically correctly
Hmm.
without being really boring about it?
Hmm.
How do we get people to improve their mental and physical health through the technical breathing?
Hmm.
We then look at conscious connected breathing, which is the sort of deep release classes that you might have started to become across. We teach people how to lead those for themselves, like for their own
Wow.
ends.
Yeah.
Then we also teach them a modality called breath healing release, which
Hmm.
combines, it's a bit like a one-to-one therapy session,
Hmm.
but it's not all about words. It's all about what are you feeling inside and how can we release that thing that you're feeling inside through breath. And
Wow.
that really is a trauma response, a trauma release, and
Hmm.
also a toxic release.
Wow.
So powerful. So
Hmm.
we teach people that. But what I have available for people on my website to get
Hmm.
is a breathwork healing toolkit. So whether you are a coach, therapist, healer, whether you're a parent who
Hmm.
wants to help their kids through whatever, whether you are tired of being in burnout
Hmm.
or you have seen the mental health crisis and someone around you needs help,
Yeah.
the exercises that I've given you there are really simple, but you've got to understand why you're doing them and when
Hmm.
you can't. And so basically on my website, I have these 7 videos that are about getting started with understanding the basics of breath.
Amazing. That sounds incredible.
Yeah. And
I,
then the other thing I do in terms of supporting people is
Mhm.
I have a therapy room now. I inherited a space off my mum, which is just up the
Wow.
road from you, Carmen.
Oh, wonderful.
And I have a therapy room, and people come and they have healing days with me. We call
Wow.
them breath healing days. And we have 4 hours together where I will teach you the functional side
Wow.
for you
Yeah.
specifically. We
Hmm.
then do 3 hours of really deep release work
Wow.
through the breath, like emotional things that have got caught in your body. We release it
Hmm.
through the breath. And we wrap it up with something incredible called molecular hydrogen therapy or
Okay.
oxyhydrogen therapy.
Tell me.
So basically, you may have heard of hydrogen rich water. I've actually been drinking some as we
Hmm.
go. Hydrogen is incredible for decreasing inflammation, decreasing free radicals, repairing your cells, literally the mitochondria. The mitochondria are the battery pack of your cells. So I have this very special therapy that we round off our time together with, where you have like a cannula, so it just sort of sits here up your nose. It's not a mask; it just sits there.
Hmm.
And whilst you're sort of debriefing, if you like, and integrating the more heavy work, the emotional work that we've done, you're just breathing this in for an hour, and
Mm.
it gets to work on your in fixing your cells within 15 minutes, and it lasts for up to 2 years.
Wow. That
So
is
yeah, the oxygen,
phenomenal.
the carbon dioxide, and the hydrogen that you breathe in to improve literally at cellular level, at a tissue level, a fascia level.
Yeah.
How can we get more oxygen into you?
Yeah.
How can we
That's
get stuff that's
phenomenal.
not supposed to be in you out?
Yeah.
And like, I was mentioning cancer earlier. Why do we get sick? Why do we get cancers? inflammation, free
Mm-hmm.
radicals, but also holding on to material that we're not supposed to have. You know, we go through something deep and we don't process it.
Mm-hmm.
Animals don't have the kind of traumas that we have.
No.
They
Yeah.
go through an event, they shake their body out, it's done.
Yeah.
We as humans, something bad happens, we can't process it because we're
Mm-hmm.
chronically stressed. We hold
Mm-hmm.
on to it, it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
And it might affect us emotionally, or it might be that that's the beginning of a cancer. And so
Yeah.
this work is, I was in the subconscious reprogramming and mindset world, and then I'm entrepreneurship for a really long time. The power of this work, how what you're holding in your body, the toxicity in your body that
Mm-hmm.
you can remove through breathing is, there's nothing more important.
This is incredible and mind-blowing stuff, and I cannot wait to share this. So I before I get you to tell everyone where they can find you, I always ask at the end of an interview, what's something that helps you feel calm in all the chaos? An obvious answer here would be breath. And you already shared that just doing how many breaths in nasal breathing?
So right. We should
Yeah.
be breathing through our nose 99% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
We're also breathing too fast. So
Mm.
on
Too
average in the
shallow. Yeah.
UK, we're
Mm-hmm.
breathing 12 to 22 breaths a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Our heart, our cardiovascular system, and our brain
Mm-hmm.
work best when we breathe 5 or 6 times a minute.
It's wild
There's
too.
a thing called resonance that happens in the body where it's all working together, respiratory, cardiovascular, brain.
Mm-hmm.
And that happens when we breathe in for 5 or 6 and we breathe out for 5 or 6. We breathe
Okay.
in for 5 or 6. And that is the best thing you can do for your body.
What a great takeaway. Like, that's just the perfect takeaway to start us on a better breathing journey. So thank you so much. Before you go, can you tell everyone where to find you on socials?
I think probably the best place, I'm everywhere. I'm
Yeah.
everywhere. Probably on Instagram at Anna Parker-Naples. If you're a LinkedIn kind of person, again, Anna Parker-Naples on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Facebook's probably my home because I am 48 and that is where women of my age hang out the most. I'm everywhere. But if you wanted specifically to get the healing toolkit, you could go
Yeah.
direct to my website, which is Influential Breathwork.
Mm-hmm.
It's called .com. It's called that because breath influences everything.
Yeah.
You are nothing without breath.
Wow. Okay, I will make you will send me everything. I'll put everything up on this episode so everyone can click really easily and find you. I myself cannot wait to do a little bit deeper healing through breath work. So thank you so much for being here and for sharing your wisdom.
You're welcome.
It's been
Great to meet you.
wonderful. You as well.